Hello everyone! Today I'm going to talk about what I think is the best cEDH deck I've ever played with. It's Rograkh Thrasios. This list was sent to me by Sam Black when I was trying to find a list to play at Punt City, and it performed really well. In the beginning I thought there were a lot of cards that was kind of weird, but by the end of the week while we're practicing or like kind of talking about the deck, I ended up like playing basically the same list. Before I kind of show off what the list is, the easiest way for me to show why I think this is the absolute most powerful cEDH deck I've ever played with, of all the decks I've like mulliganed, like Blue Farm, Roxai, all the stuff, is just Goldfishing this, because that's when I really saw the power in this deck. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull this into Mox Field Tester right now and show you how it goes. So one of the things I first noticed about mulliganing this deck while I was trying it out is that the mulligans are generally really powerful. Like I've been playing a lot of Blue-White Control in Standard, practicing with Mike Flores, and Flores talks about how like he never mulligans that deck because the card quality is so high, you generally just don't want to go down cards. In cEDH, the heuristic is that you just want to mulligan into something very powerful, but I found that the hands that this deck generates in general is always very good. And you don't really have to mulligan very low. So I think that's like a pretty strong advantage. Another thing I started testing is that I will start mulliganing like all mana hands to see what my draws are like. And very similar to how Roxai is, the draws are very powerful as well. So I want to show that off today. Here's the first hand. Obviously we can't keep this. So, you know, as I said, even though I said most hands is very keepable, I mean, here's one scenario where it isn't. So here's go to second 7. All right, let's take a look at this. We have Otawara, Soul Ring, Lotus Petal, Fierce, Mana Vault, Kinnan, and Mental Misstep, right? A lot of mana. And that's generally how this deck works. This deck can throw a lot of mana out the same way like Kinnan can, or like generate a lot of mana. So it's very similar to like a turbo deck, but closer to Kinnan. You also get the advantage of Rograkh here with the Fierce. So the problem with this hand is that there's no real payoff, right? It's all mana. So when we keep other decks, we kind of want like a tutor, we kind of want like an ad nauseum, but let's just keep this and see how it goes, okay? Because this is something that I tested, and I expect that in the next couple of draws, we'll draw like a Hullbreaker Horror or like the One Ring or something like that, right? That will get us into the game very quickly. So draw, birds, not very strong. Kind of interesting. I think, yeah, we have to go Otawara, Petal, Crack Petal for birds, even though Kinnan would be really good. We bring out Rograkh, so now we have Fierce Guardianship online, and then we'll take another draw. Ancient Tomb. All right, so now we go, Ancient Tomb, into Kinnan, into Soul Ring, into Vault. We're floating 2, doesn't do anything, so now we'll pass a turn, and now we'll draw. We currently already have a Kinnan activation, I believe. This is 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 mana. It's turn 3, 12 mana. So worst case scenario, we go Thrasios and start drawing. That's kind of bad. You know, seeing 2 more cards is okay. We hit an Eldritch Evolution. One of the things that makes this deck really strong is that there's a lot of tutors, and generally tutors in Teamer or like Sans Black is not very good. But this deck, as you'll see later, once I go through the deck list individually with the cards, the tutors are designed to be like extremely flexible. So as I said, we have 12 mana, right? Let's just tap the Birds of Paradise. We'll crunch the birds into a 3-drop. So now we go Trophy Mage, 3 mana, and then Trophy Mage finds, Basalt Monolith, float 4, Basalt, win the game, right? Actually, we needed to like tap this so that we floated green so we can play Thrasios. But as you saw, really powerful, right? If we don't want to take this line, we can find a Relic of Legends and start making a lot of mana as well. But let's try another hand. You can see like how much mana we generated. So here's hand number 2, or the second set of hands. We have a Bloom Tender, Utopia Sprawl, Mana Vault, land, and a Fierce. So this we're looking at by turn 3, we'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 mana, 9 mana with Fierce. So like worst case scenario again, that's double Thrasios on turn 3, right? So let's keep it. I think in most decks, you look at this and you think this is really bad, right? Because we're looking for Rhystic Study and Mystic Gamora, and I would probably advise that we should mulligan this, but I just want to show like how strong this deck is. Draw, Hullbreaker Horror, done, right? Like I'm not like fixing the top decks. This is just what happened. And I did like coaching with Sam Black, and every hand we went through was just like this. We're laughing the entire time because we're like, we shouldn't be keeping these hands, but then we hit like the One Ring, we hit like Displacer Kitten. It's just so powerful, right? So we'll go Foothills into a forest. Foothills into a forest, Utopia Sprawl, then we'll draw. The best pick here, I think, is a little slower, but it's just set up for Bloom Tender. We'll grab Rograkh, play Rograkh. I think you hold Rograkh for next turn, unless if there's a white deck that could play Drannith Magistrate. then you should be playing Rograkh earlier. But you always want to hold Rograkh because Rograkh can be like, you can see here, Hullbreaker Horror or some other cast trigger. It's very important. Then Mana Vault. Oh, we have a Fierce, so we want to keep that up. Yeah. Then we draw a card. It's Invasion of Ikoria. I'll tap for Thrasios because this is just going up 1, I think. It gives us the extra blue for Bloom Tender. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and Hullbreaker Horror. If we didn't play Rograkh, then we would win here. So I think the line here is kind of awkward. We actually might not need to do this. Maybe we need to go 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. Hullbreaker Horror, tap 2, Thrasios, pick up Rograkh. Oh, we're short of mana. Ooh, this is so annoying. All right, in that case, you have to go if the board state's good enough, you could just go Invasion for Dockside to go up mana, and then Hullbreaker Horror, and then pick up the thing and loop that way and play this. Or what's another way we could do this? No, we don't have to overthink it. And then we still have a Time Twister to like try again. So we'll go hand number 3. Hand number 3, we have Machine God's Effigy. So this is for a Devoted Druid. Lord Revealed finds a land and Minamos. Or this is like too slow, so we can mull. Hand 2, so touch too slow. I think if we read that there's a Dockside coming soon, like this is good. We're Elite Tutor, we always have access to a Dockside. Mindbreak Trap and a Flusterstorm. A 7, it's not very fast. The deck can be way faster. Like this is really relying on the good Dockside. And then what happens after like the Dockside? We just make a bunch of mana and pass. I actually think this is not good enough. So now we are at 6. Oh, why is Urza Saga here? My god, cut that. This is like slightly better in the sense that we have Trophy Mage, Machine God Effigy, but bad in the sense that there's no acceleration. Let's go to 5. I'm perfectly happy with this. We cut this, we cut this. We're very proactive as a deck, so just here, do the thing. Draw, interesting. We just go, yeah, getting at the turn 1 birds is pretty good. So birds, Rograkh, turn that into a Mox Amber. Shuffle, then pass a turn, draw a card. Cloud of Fairies will go 1. Actually, go Hedge Mage first. We don't need this. Well, actually, no. We have to do this a different way. Sequencing. We'll pop this into a Cradle. Gaia's Cradle, Hedge Maze. You want to do this afterwards so you can control the top of the card. Do we want this? What's our plan? Our plan is next turn Finale for something. We have Cloud of Fairies. Can we Displacer Kitten win here? We're kind of close. I think mana's... We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 with a Cloud of Fairies. Oh wait, that's a win, isn't it? For Displacer Kitten? Kitten is non-artifact. No, and Kitten is creatures. So yeah, I guess just more mana is good, right? Yeah, I'll just take the mana. Okay, what if I didn't take the mana? Okay, it's all mana. That's cheating, but whatever. Yeah, we'll leave it on top. So now we go 1, 2. We play Thrasios. Turn 2. Oopsie. To go up our Cradle count. Then I think we're floating 1, right? Theoretically, we can spend the 1 on the Cloud of Fairies to untap, but let's not waste it. So we'll draw the Ancient. Oopsie. I don't know why I shuffle. It's supposed to be Ancient Tomb. If we drew a Spell Seeker, that would have been the nuts. But so we play this, as we knew. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 mana. We can Finale for up to 6. This is what? Did I say 8 mana? We're 1 short from Hullbreaker Horror, which would have won. If we had another spell, it would win us the game. Because at this point, we could Cloud of Fairies, ramp up mana, and then Finale for Hullbreaker Horror. So literally 1 more spell would win the game here. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah. So here, I think it's... yeah, it's 8 mana. Then we go... That's pretty easy. It's 3, 4, 5. So we take 2. We're going to Finale for a Trophy Mage. And then Finale comes in. We hit... Oh, this is so annoying. I thought this would be able to get... We get Cloudstone Curio. So if we did... Yeah, we had to play this for the Cradle count. So we're very close to winning. Again, if we play Curio here with Cloud of Fairies, that's infinite mana and we win the game. Yeah, I think it just has to be like Trophy Mage. And then Trophy Mage find the Curio. Hold it up, I guess. Yeah, this comes in, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We find Trophy Mate, ETB, find Curio, 1, 2, 3 next turn. So, yeah, I mean, if we have another creature, if we have another creature spell, then we Cloud of Fairies ramp. We'll just pass the turn. Boop. And then we win. Try one more. I hope, like, you get to see how strong this is. This is, like, if we're on the play, it's kind of keepable, just off of the Bird's Twister. But I think we could do something better, so... Oh, this is very close. This is why we don't play Saga, actually. Because Saga just, like, makes the mana really awkward. We'll mull one more. Go to 6. Yeah, I think we keep this. So, on a 6, I would just pitch... It's like Gilded Drake or Devoted Druid. Cloud of Fairies is staying in the hand because it's the card that we throw to Chromox. I guess the argument is that we pitch this instead because it's useless. Oh, wait a second. We just pitched the Cloud of Fairies. This is a 6, right? Or a 5. I think it's a 6. We just pitch Cloud of Fairies because then we just, whatever we draw, we'll throw in the Chromox. And if not, we just pitch one of these. Ooh, we didn't hit it. Boop, boop. This is interesting because Druid helps us win. Gilded Drake helps us like stop Sisay or steal a Kinnan. So depends on the board state, but we're here to win. So let's do that. Let's play Thrasios. Thrasios, draw. Then we'll play this. Well, let's just play the Flooded Strand, Crack for Island, Ristic Study, Shocker, and then let's pretend we draw 2 cards. Very safe 2 cards. Draw a card. Remora. We'll crack for Remora. Oh, Tezzeret. Oh, we leave Tezzy on the top for sure. Remora. Tap 2. We could tap it a little bit better, but you know, playing fast here. Druid. And then next turn, we'll pay for Remora. Let's pretend we drew like a reasonable 3 cards. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, if we're really bold, right? If we're really bold here, just Tezzeret, and then go Machine God's Effigy, copy this, infinite mana, draw your deck. Okay, so I hope just going these couple hands shows you like we weren't trying really hard, right? We went down to 5 once, and most of the hands were just like mana, and then we just draw payoffs, right? So it's very similar to Rog's Eye in a sense, except Rog's Eye, you kind of want to have the payoff there, because if you miss the payoff, your deck kind of sucks. So, okay, now that I showed off the Goldfish, let's go through the list. So I'm going to go through all these cards and kind of like talk about, I guess, the deck while I'm doing it. I think the main argument is like, why do you play this over like Najeela or TNK or Tivit? And or even Kinnan, right? So you play this over Kinnan because you have access to Dockside. This red's really good. You play this over TNK because TNK right now is just wasting a lot of time and playing a lot of like advantage pieces, and you're just here to win, right? Where every single hand we got, like we won by turn 3-4, and we weren't really trying. It was just like we just draw tutors, slam the tutor, and win, right? If it fails, the best part is that you saw our board. Our board was like all mana, right? Our fail state is still really good. It's kind of like Kinnan. Kinnan's like their fail state is they make a lot of mana, flip into a big monster, you kill the monster, who cares? We'll flip again, right? It's like very strong in that sense, and like I think especially in this current meta, you just want to like always present the problem, right? You want to be able to win at the right time because everyone's like kind of trying to play into a state where like the game goes longer, but you really want to be the person who just like can present the win as aggressively as possible when it's possible, right? And what's great about this deck is that you're always presenting the win when the time comes, right? Once you have like the right cards, you keep presenting, you fail, keep trying, right? Other decks kind of like need that specific card like Adnos or like Time Sieve or whatever to stick and win the game. This deck is different. This deck is just all cards are useful and you win. Compared to Najeela, like Najeela's land base I just don't like. But you know, Najeela's a fine deck. I just think this is like really fast, as you saw, and the cards in general are really good. So anyways, that's like the short reason why I would advise you play this deck, but I hope just even the mulligans itself, you're like, oh wow, this is a good deck. So let's go over the cards. So I spent a lot of time looking over this list because this list looks really counterintuitive, or like it looks really bad. Trust me, the deck is good. Invasion Ikoria. So this one, we were playing obviously to find creatures like Dockside, mostly. Like this whole deck does 2 things. Okay, when you play this, you have 2 things you're doing. First priority is you find Gaia's Cradle. This is Gaia's Cradle.deck, right? So there's a lot of tutors that find Gaia's Cradle. As soon as you get Gaia's Cradle, you're like in a good spot. The second thing you do afterwards is you find Dockside, because there's just a bunch of Dockside loops, right? But as you saw, we have a lot of creatures here. So Invasion Ikoria is great because it finds creatures like Displacer Kitten or whatever to get us to our win. The problem with Invasion Ikoria is that the non-human clause is actually very important, because as you saw in some of the lines earlier, we relied on Trophy Mage to get to the 3 mana artifact, and there's a bunch of creatures or creature tutors or just creatures in general that are humans, like Spellseeker, Imperial Recruiter, Trophy Mage, and then like we might need a Baron. Baron's not very good, but it's good enough. Yeah, that's basically it. Maybe even Kinnan, right? So the fact that you can't hit those is like kind of a liability, but you know, card's good enough, right? So we play it. But in general, that's like your 2 things you're doing: Cradle, Dockside, and then everything else that you define. Tezzy is really good. Tezzy, all our A and Bs, or not all, but a lot of our A and Bs rely on artifacts. Tezzeret just finds our artifact, puts it into play. Tezzeret's a little harder to counter because it's a planeswalker, so only Force of Will, Force of Negation, straight up counterspell, like mana drain stuff, Fierce Guardianship. That's kind of it, right? So if Tezzy sticks, you just activate Tezzy and like you win. So that's good. But worst case scenario, Tezzy also untaps your artifacts. So like you go Mana Vault, untap Mana Vault, you're good. Untap the One Ring, untap Candelabra, Tezzy's good. Play Tezzy. So let's go through our creatures. Baron, Master Wizard. So Baron is like one of the worst, I think, outlets we have to win the game, but I actually found that during my Pun City games, Baron was really powerful because a lot of creature decks are out there right now and are reliant on having their creature out. So like Kinnan, Sisay, Rocco, like whatever, right? So I played a Baron just like as a stacks piece, and no one was able to go for it because I just bounced their Kinnan, bounced their Sisay, bounce whatever when I want to, right? And then they had to play around it while I'm able to like leverage that board state of like no one wanted to play into it to develop my mana and just draw off Thrasios and like Hullbreaker Horror when I'm ready. So Baron actually turned out to be really good that way, but Baron's like the worst, I think, win con that we have because a lot of mana and you're really stuck on Dockside loops. So still, just good enough. You can Neoform Thrasios into Baron. I don't know. Allergy Evolution, you're 1 into a 3. Also findable off of Recruiter. So anyway, that's Baron. Birds of Paradise. We know why this is here. Bloom Tender is good enough just because Bloom Tender always makes 2 at least with Rograkh, and Thrasios is really easy to play. So Tendies is good, even though like Bowmaster can kill it. So here's the thing, like, I think a lot of people are going to be like, there's like a lot of stuff that kills creatures. You don't care, right? Like you care a little bit because it is kind of annoying, but like, I don't know. It's just not something I'm worried about. And if someone has a Bowmaster, we'll figure it out when we get there. As you saw, we're presenting wins, right? That's what we're here to do. So if I get to get a Bloom Tender and I get to at least get 1 activation or like 3 mana off the Bloom Tender and someone Bowmasters it afterwards, whatever, I don't care. Cloud of Fairies, this one I think is like a card that I'm probably cutting, or like the easiest to cut. Cloud of Fairies is good for now because you can snap Cloud of Fairies, Eternal Witness, Cradle, and win that way. Cloud of Fairies, it's just a lot of lines you can win Cloud of Fairies. You could Hullbreaker Horror, Cloud of Fairies, bounce it with Rograkh, untap your Cradle. So a lot of what this deck is doing is that you are chaining a bunch of cards together to assemble a win. So it's difficult to play in the sense that there's no easy 8 plus Bs. You're just always like kind of looking at what board set you have and trying to figure out a way to generate infinite mana. So it's kind of complex in that sense. And the things you find are like not always the same, but it's very fun that way and it's very strong that way because your opponents, it's hard for them to read like what your exact line is. It's kind of easy in the sense that like they know it's infinite mana, they know it's Dockside, they know it's whatever, but the exact way you get there is a little like more difficult. So like for example, one game, what I did was I had a Machine God's Effigy in play, copying Italian, and I have a Devoted Druid in hand and an Elegy Evolution. So I played Devoted Druid, Elegy Evolution, one of my creatures into Displacer Kitten, cast a spell, blink MGE, copy Devoted Druid, infinite mana. Like you need to learn how to do stuff like that. You also need to learn like sometimes you'll have like a Relic of Legends and then like a Rograkh and then like try and find a way to generate infinite mana off of that. There's like ways to do it. There's like, a lot of different lines and it's not even like a good use of our time to like go through all of them except for the main ones. But anyways, the point is just cards like these, like Cloud of Fairies, aren't super good, but they are important to the deck list because the deck list has a lot of ways to assemble your combos. So you kind of need them. I don't know about Cloud of Fairies though. Halfling, I think Halfling kind of sucks in this deck. Halfling's really good to cast a Tali, but I'm going to cut the Tali. So I think it's just your best 1-drop dork. Like it's good enough as a 1-drop dork. I don't think it's very good. Devoted Druid is here for Machine God's Effigy combo. So Machine God Effigy copies Devoted Druid, allowing the Machine God's Effigy to untap infinitely and generate infinite blue. So that's the reason why it's here. It's also just a mana dork. It's fine. Like you can double, like you can make 2 mana in 1 turn if you really need to. So it's fine. Displacer Kitten's just good enough. It just assembles a lot of infinite lines that we have. with the cards in this deck. So yeah, we just want to play it, but also just in general, there's a lot of ETBs. So having a Displacer Kitten is just really strong because you can like play a Spellseeker or a Trophy Mage earlier to instead of presenting like kind of a scary card. Like Trophy Mage can find Relic of Legends, Spellseeker can just find like a Cyclonic Rift or something, or even a Muddled Mixture, so that you're not like posturing you're going for lethal, but then like later with a Displacer Kitten in hand, you can cast a spell, blink it, get something useful, right? So Kitten, it just adds like enough value by itself, and it's also really powerful. Sometimes I've assembled lines like playing Displacer Kitten, having the One Ring, and then just like drawing off the One Ring, drawing cheap spells, playing the spell, blinking the ring, drawing again, and like kind of drawing my way into a win that way. There's just a lot of stuff you could do with Displacer Kitten that just makes it good enough. Dockside's really important, just like we know Dockside's obviously the most like powerful card in the format, one of the most, and it's just like integral to a lot of our lines. So Dockside, Hullbreaker Horror, and then like Dockside, Cloudstone Curio, just a lot of stuff, like a lot of blinky stuff or bouncy stuff that we do with Dockside. The thing about Dockside is just like once Dockside gets exiled, it gets a little more awkward, but as you see, there's a lot of other lines you can pivot to, so it's not that bad, but it is like kind of hard to win without Dockside. I've won a lot of games where it's just like I don't even have Dockside, and I just like Devoted Druid, MGE, Devoted Druid gets killed, whatever, Kinnan, and then like find my Basalt, right? So you just have to like be flexible that way. There's also other combos in this deck. But anyways, the point is just Dockside good. If Dockside's gone, you're still good. So just don't worry about it. Etali, definitely cutting this from the deck. So Etali is like one of the things that you loop after you have infinite mana to like you just bounce Etali and exile everyone's decks. And it's the idea behind it is like in a stalled state, you just slam down Etali and just go face or just like flip cards over and you're happy. The problem with Etali is everyone's playing clones right now because of Kinnan. So if you play Etali, everyone's gonna be gunning after Etali. And if your opponents get those free cards for like a much lower rate, it's really bad for you. So I just don't think we should be playing Etali. Ewit's good. So like if you don't know the line, Eternal Witness, Snap, Cloud of Fairies, Cradle. I've executed this once, like ever. But it's like an option, right? I think Eternal Witness is good enough because you snap Eternal Witness, untap your Cradle on your land, and then you play Eternal Witness. Oh, you don't even need a Cloud of Fairies, but like Eternal Witness, target, snap, replay, snap, do that infinitely. Eternal Witness is good enough because once our stuff gets countered, we don't have like, Underworld Breach or like, I don't know, Yogg's Will or whatever, right? To like recast from our graveyard. So just in general, Eternal Witness picking up a card, like an A+B that someone destroyed to go again, very good. Or like picking up like a Neoform, still very good. So good card. Findable off Recruiter if you need it. Flash Duplicate, good card. Generous End. So we play Generous End because finding a basic forest or basic land in this deck, really, really important. You'll see later why. So I think the card like looks bad, but you kind of need to. Like you kind of need it. So I'm just gonna say that. Just trust me on it. You need it. Gilded Drake is good. Hullbreaker Horror, really, really good card right now. Like Uncounterable is really important and just assembles a lot of lines. Beats a lot of board states. The problem I think some people have with Hullbreaker Horror is that like it dies to Red Blast, it dies to removal. I don't know. I don't really care. Like in the situation where you don't have like any instant spells to protect your Hullbreaker Horror, but your best shot to win is just like getting a Hullbreaker Horror and chaining, like it doesn't matter if like they're gonna have removal, right? I don't think it makes a card any worse. Hullbreaker Horror is even more oppressive when you do have interaction because it can fight through double of it and his head's flash. So yeah, I think it's one of the best cards in the deck. Recruiter finds like everything in this deck. So Recruiter is really, really good, really powerful. Finds basically all the combo cards like Kinnan, Dockside, Druid, Baron, even Kitten too. Kinnan's doubling mana is good, but opening up Basalt lines, good. And the point of this deck is also like if there's a lot of Kinnan in your meta, cool, Gilded Drake Kinnan, find my own Basalt, win that way. Or, metamorph your Basalt, play my own Kinnan. You get the idea. Ragavan's good. An interesting thing about Ragavan is because we play Relic of Legends, if you have Relic of Legends and Cloudstone Curio, Ragavan is one of the few ways you can loop with Rograkh, because basically Rograkh makes 1 mana, right? And there's no other like creature here through Relic of Legends that is easily castable off 1. So if you have Rograkh and a Ragavan, then you can play Ragavan for 1, generate a mana, put back the Rograkh, generate a mana with Ragavan, play Rograkh, put Ragavan back in hand, cast Rograkh for free, make mana, then you loop that way. So Ragavan's like kind of useful that way too. Shrieking Drake, really powerful card. So this is something I added at the end. Shrieking Drake gives you combo lines with Earthcraft, which we also play. All you need to do is assemble one of the enchantments on a basic land, which is why we have Generous End, Earthcraft, and Shrieking Drake, and like you go infinite that way. Shrieking Drake is also just really powerful as an ETB doubler. So I've used Shrieking Drake a lot to double my dockside count, or like get another, pick up my trophy mage later and like go again. So even though it's like kind of bad, it's like really, really strong here. And also just 1 blue. So worst case scenario, you just go Rograkh, Shrieking Drake, pick up Rograkh, replay Rograkh, Cradle for 2. Spellseeker is really, really good here. So Spellseeker is important because Spellseeker, you can find Muddle the Mixture, which is one of the best cards in the whole deck, because Muddle the Mixture becomes like a Grim Tutor because it finds anything for it transmutes into a 2 CMC card. So it finds your Dockside, finds your Earthcraft, finds your Kinnan, finds Neoform, just finds a lot of stuff. But if you have a Spellseeker, you just find Neoform itself. So Spellseeker can find Muddle the Mixture, find Transmute Artifact, can find Psych Rift, Neoform, all the things. Spellseeker is good. Trophy Mage is important. Trophy Mage finds you your Curio, finds you your Relic of Legends, and Basalt Monolith. I think that's it. So important part of the deck. Sorceries here, Finale, is good. We don't have to talk about why. It's also a win con. Eldritch Evolution, I think the only thing that matters to talk about here is just that your Thrasios turns into like basically anything, like everything in the deck that's useful. So that's why it's here. Lord Revealed finds our island. I use it to draw cards a lot, actually, because we make so much mana. So it's actually quite like viable. Time Twister's here because I think our deck plays a lot of mana, as you saw really quickly. So you need at least 1 Twister, I think, to like have the hands where you dump all your mana, twist. Or like later, you dumped all your mana, you top deck a twist and you twist, right? A lot of decks don't play Time Twister at wheels these days because they're afraid of reloading your opponent. I don't think we care. I think like in the game states where we need to reload, you're going to lose either way. So you might as well give yourself the shot at winning through a twister. And also with like a lot of heuristics and stuff, even if you twist, like people don't fight through everyone else's interaction. So very good card. Transmute Artifact is great because you can convert your artifacts into any of your win cons here. You can convert into a 1 ring. I think later I'm going to add Defense Grid back in, so you can do that as well. So there's one other creature missing from here, Seedborn Muse. I think we should be playing Seedborn Muse. I was trying a version without Seedborn Muse, but obviously Seedborn Muse I think is good enough for this deck. So there's that. Then we go to instants. So Archdruid's Charm finds a creature to hand or land onto the battlefield. So since we're a Cradle dot deck, we just want all the ways to find a Cradle, and being instant speed is really good. We make green really, really easily in this deck, so actually triple green is not a problem. The rest of the modes is like kind of useful, like you can have something fight or like deal damage to another creature or exile artifact enchantment, so like it's all relevant, but mostly it's here to find a Cradle at instant speed. So yeah, there's that. Chain of Vapor, just one of the best removal cards that we have in our color. There's enough like permanent, like I guess there's enough permanence on the battlefield that you sometimes want to remove before you combo off, and also you can use it as like a dockside doubler, so you have to play it. Crop Rock goes for Cradle. Psych Rift, we know why it's here, but we also make a lot of mana, so overloading it is very easy. Swat, Fierce, yep, Fluster, Force of Will, all the staples. Lightning Bolt, we need Lightning Bolt as one of the ways to win. So if you're able to loop your deck or draw your deck, then you start looping Eternal Witness, Curio, and pick up your Lightning Bolt and just bolt the table. But we also want to have Lightning Bolt because sometimes like someone will flash an Op Agent, and if we don't have enough ways to deal with permanence on board, we lose the game, right? Like we can't really beat that easily, so there is a need for Lightning Bolt. Misstep's good, Mindbreak Trap, Muddle, as I said earlier, Muddle is one of the best cards in this deck because Muddle finds everything. It's one of the best ways, the only ways to find Earthcraft. So you should be playing it. Pact of Negation, you'll notice we don't have Force Negation and we have Pact of Negation, which should indicate like how aggressive of a deck this is, even though seemingly it's like, I guess, might be reactive because there's no like, rituals, right? There's no ad nos, there's no breach. So I think some players will assume that this is like kind of a slow creature deck, but that's why I wanted to show the mulligans earlier, because this deck is really fast. You just puke mana. So Force Negation is bad because this deck is designed to just win on our turn. Like we're here to win, right? So Pact of Negation does that better than Force Negation. Also, since we make so much mana, the pay 5 doesn't almost matter, right? Like one of the games I played, I pacted someone, I paid my upkeep cost, I still had 7 mana left over to play with. 7 mana afterwards to like cast the One Ring and like Earthcraft and do all this stuff. It just didn't matter. So you should be playing Pact. It's just very good. But Force of Negation, we also don't have enough blue cards to feed into it. We kind of want to keep our cards, so going down 2 to counter the 1, rather lose that game. Another thing that's missing from here is Born of the Wind. Born, I think I should be playing again. I kind of thought that we're good enough to just like threaten every time on our turn. And one E zone is enough to like kind of do the thing on instant speed if we want to. But I think Born's good enough in general for us to just play it. So yeah. The rest of the instant sorceries here is Pyro, Red Blast, Swan Song, Snap. Snap's good because Snap not only is free creature removal, but also lets us double Dockside, lets us untap our things, part of our win con. We know what that's doing. Whirly Toot is really good. Finds all our creatures. Creatures are important. Veil of Summer. I think this deck should not be playing Veil of Summer. Every time I play Veil of Summer, it's like it ruined me in Pun City 3. So I think I'd rather play Dispel or Defense Grid. I use Veil of Summer as a silence and it never works out for me. So I would just cut Veil of Summer. I just don't think it's good. Artifacts. So we have Arcane Signet. We know why that's here. We have Basalt Monolith to combo with Kinnan. Candelabra. So because we have a Cradle, Candelabra is really strong in this deck. So that's basically it. Chromox, we know why. Cloudstone Curio, our loops are formed through Cloudstone Curio. E-map is very important, I think. Expedition map seems kind of bad, but every time I play Expedition map, it's always good. Because like basically we make a lot of mana, right? You saw how the deck plays. If you're able to go turn 1 map, do something else, turn 2, tap 2, find Cradle off the map, that's fine, right? It's a Grim Tutor you split across 2 turns to get one of the best cards in your deck. And later, you have an E-map in play. You can just crack it, find Boseiju, pop something, crack it, find Odawara, bounce something, right? So there's a lot of uses for E-map, and E-map's cheap enough where like it doesn't matter. That's why I think we should be playing E-map. Lotus Petal's good. Machine God's Effigy, really good card. Combos off with Devoted Druid, and also clones some of the best creatures in the game. So there's that. Mana Crypt, Mana Vault, yeah, the usual stuff. The reason why we play Mana Vault in this deck, by the way, is because of Hullbreaker Horror. Aside from the fact that it's a good ritual into like the One Ring and stuff, and just mana's good. Because we play Hullbreaker Horror, we do want more of these kind of artifacts, just to make sure that we have enough artifacts to loop. As you saw in the hands earlier, a lot of the hands that we had was like 1 rock short of being able to like really combo off. We found other ways to do it, right? Rograkh, Vault, you're good. But there are situations where you kind of want like Soul Ring, Mana Crypt or something. Chromox, Mox Salmon doesn't do it. So that's kind of it. Amber is really good. Relic of Legends is really powerful in this deck. There's so many hands where I can go like land, Soul Ring, turn 2, Relic of Legends, Rograkh, tap 2, Thrasios, land. And now you have like 2 mana open, and on turn 3, you're gonna have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, potentially 8 mana on turn 3, all because of Relic of Legends. Just a really, really good card. And I think it just makes your Trophy Mage a lot better, because in any other situation, if you play Trophy Mage without a Relic of Legends, your only options are like really lethal or scary things. And there are situations where you don't want to present yourself as a threat. So if you play a Trophy Mage and just get Relic of Legends and start banking, like just using that mana to Thrasios, you're good. So Relic of Legends, play it. Soul Ring, good, obviously. Springleaf Drum, the One Ring, good card. All right, Earthcraft. So this suite of Earthcraft, Fertile Ground, Utopia Sprawl, Wild Growth, I think is like the most different thing about this deck. I think Fertile Ground, a lot of people won't want to play because it's just like not as good in cEDH, because 2 mana to like do a thing, like add a mana for later, is not very good. But because we have Shrieking Drake and Earthcraft is so good that you kind of need that Fertile Ground to have enough density to like do the thing. But Sprawl, Wild Growth, Fertile Ground, sure, it adds like Dockside count for your opponent, but like it just ups your mana. Like it doesn't matter. You just want it, especially because of Earthcraft. Earthcraft is really, really good. Even without these things, if you just have Earthcraft, it turns your Rograkh and every other creature you play into a mana source, right? So maybe you should be playing Cryptolith, right? I don't know. Or just because Earthcraft is a really good source of mana, that by itself makes it a really good card. Now that you're able to just combo off of Shrieking Drake plus this stuff, or like Earthcraft, Curio, bounce your Rograkh, tap mana, play something else, like there's so many lines it opens up that you really want Earthcraft. And that's like the thing about this deck. Relic of Legends is like good on its own, but it also gives you more lines. So cards like these are just really useful for the deck. Then our lands. The only thing that's important to talk about is the basics. We definitely want the basics here. Minamo untaps the Cradle, Hedge Maze. So you don't have to play Hedge Maze. A lot of people don't like it because theoretically on turn 1, if your Hedge Maze tapped, you kind of take yourself off a turn, control the top of your deck and know what you're doing next turn. And like getting rid of something to get a draw that way is just really good. So you play 1. I think the consensus across a lot of 60 card players is you play at least 1. In cEDH. If you want to do it, up to you, but I do it. So there's that. Urza Saga, I guess I play Urza Saga. Yeah, Urza Saga just finds your E-map, or your like Mana Crypt and stuff. So good enough. Oh, you also want Prismatic Vista just to find your basic. So that's the whole deck. I kind of went over while I'm talking about the deck, like why this deck's really powerful. And really it's just like, you just have really good hands. You just make a lot of mana and your fail state is actually like one of the best Thrasios decks like out there. There's a lot of Thrasios decks that are really bad, right? Like I just don't like them. But this deck, because it makes so much mana, you don't need training grounds. Your plan C Thrasios is actually like kind of strong. But your draws are really good. Like it's very similar to like Rograkh in the sense that you have mana and speed, which creates all that power. And then you just play enough good cards where you're just like, you're taking every turn, you're just putting mana, like every turn you're just investing mana on the board. So like it's just really easy to play, right? There's no other way to play this. There's no, like, you're not gonna hold your creatures. You're just gonna play your creatures. You play your kitten out. If they get rid of it, who cares? Or you draw an Earthcraft and find a way to bounce the Drake and Drake, you win the game. So the point is just, it's very flexible, very strong, very fast, very fun. So yeah, that's the list I want to go over today. No fancy like strategy video. I just wanted to give something raw. Maybe we'll do something fancier next time. But let me know what you think. I think you should be playing this deck because I legitimately think this is a tier 1 deck. Like I've mulliganed and designed so many cEDH decks in the last couple of years. I've never picked something up like this and was like, this is the best thing I've ever played. So I hope that's enough to like convince you to try it out. And if you like this, don't forget to subscribe to my Patreon, where I'll probably write a guide on this deck and you can get it there. So bye.